This training is on disaster readiness. It is built off of one of our most successful trainings, When Seconds Count, where we do earthquake readiness, but we will talk about all disasters in this. You will see a little focus on earthquakes. October is the Great Shakeout, October 16th. It is also an anniversary of the anniversary for Loma Prieta is coming up pretty soon too. So it's a good reminder earthquakes are one of our biggest hazards, one of our biggest risks, but they are not the only one. So we will walk through some of that today. Before we do, just a little brief. You guys sounds like this group knows a bit about Cadre already, so I'll be real quick on this. We are a nonprofit. We've been the VOAD for Santa Clara County since 1989. And in this task, and just as a nonprofit in general, we have worked to support non-governmental organizations throughout the disaster cycle and build networks and strengthen community connections to enhance resource and information sharing. So something new from Cadre that you may or may not have heard about yet, and if you haven't, this is a great place to hear about it, are our support networks. So we've developed 20 function and area specific support networks that are really designed to allow organizations from any given function, whether it be animal services or donations or food or immigrant support or mass care or veterans. I'm not going to read them all to you, but we have 20 of them, and these just really are to bring organizations together to share information and resources. Pre-disaster, that can be sharing grants, sharing preparedness documents, helping each other with review of plans, developing MOUs between different organizations so you can easily connect during an emergency, learning about disaster readiness. There are some organizations and people who are extremely prepared and others who know absolutely nothing about how to get ready. So making those connections is really what this is about. But during a disaster, during the relief and recovery portions of a disaster, these networks can be called upon, especially for a really large disaster that has widespread impacts. They can be utilized to help streamline and keep communication lines going to the many organizations and people who may be impacted. We do have a survey. If you have a chance, if you want to drop the link to our support network sign up form into the chat. If you're interested in joining any of our networks, please let us know. We are having a lot of the kickoff meetings. A few of them have already been set up, so our food network's fully fleshed out, but we're building out all of our networks as we speak. So anything you're interested in, sign up, stay in the loop. This is meant to be a low effort, easy way to connect with others without having to spend a lot of time or energy. So, I mentioned the 1 seconds count. If you go to cadresv.org, there /earthquake, there are videos, mini videos and long videos. There's presentation information in a multitude of languages. And if you would like, we have available the scripts, the PowerPoints for all of the training for the 1 seconds count in all of those different languages. So you can have, if you would like to train your co-workers or your group, your organization, whatever it might be, this is a really useful tool. And we're happy to share everything. There's some stuff on the website as is. The scripts are not all there for all of the languages, nor are the PowerPoints, but we are happy to share that with any organization. And then you can follow that with very little prep. You can obviously modify it as you see fit, which you'll see I did with this presentation that I'll be giving you. And this presentation that we're about to get into is a modified version of this. So really showing you how you can do that so that you don't just learn something from this training, but you have something you can take away and you can teach others, which is our goal. It's not just to share the information, but to ensure that the information is spread and that we can train you to teach others and not just train you to be ready, so that a lot more people can get ready. These meetings, those scripts are designed for a 30-minute presentation with conversation. So if you decide to utilize them, I would say set up an hour meeting. You can always enhance it too. You'll see mine is about hour and 20 minutes or so because I did add their emergencies. But the fact that it is in so many languages is really helpful because we tend to see training primarily in English, sometimes in Spanish, but never in any other language. And just because you don't speak English well does not mean that you should be prevented from getting this valuable information. So if at any point you would like the scripts, the PowerPoints for any or all languages sent over, you are more than welcome to reach out to me or Marsha or anyone on our team, and we will be very happy to share it with you. And I'll put my email in the chat as well. Because we have so many languages, there's a lot, which is why not everything's not fully uploaded. So we would share it with you as like a Google Drive or a zip file so that you would be able to have it. So I put my email in the chat. Please email me if you'd like me to send that over. All right, so let's walk into the training. So the objectives for this training, by the end of the training, you will have the resources and knowledge to teach your staff, your customers, your family, whoever it may be, how to stay safe during earthquakes and other disasters, the basic steps for preparing yourself, your home, your organization, your loved ones for earthquakes and other disasters, and how to safely respond and recover after an earthquake. Walking into that, you got 5 steps. I like the whole 5-step, 3 or 5-step. I feel like if you give someone 20 steps, they're not going to get through them. But if you give them 5, you can do it. So break it down if you need to. It is September. It's Preparedness Month. So this is a great time to get started if you have not already. The first step is knowing your risk. You can't know what to do if you don't know what you're at risk of and how you should immediately respond to protect yourself when seconds count. The second step is staying informed, getting alerts, knowing where to find information. That proactive and reactive information gathering during an emergency can keep you alive, and it can keep you from facing as much trauma and impacts as you otherwise would during an emergency. Having a plan and practicing it, so you know what to do, you know to stop, cover and hold on in an earthquake, you know where to find your information. Now the earthquake happened, your home is destroyed or damaged, and you don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to do, and you don't know how to find your family members because communication's down. And your dog is scared and is running in circles because you never practiced to drill with them. So learning how to prepare is also having that planning and backup planning and having the supplies to make that happen. And finally, that state of readiness. It is great to plan. It is great to prepare. I have a 13-year-old who doesn't look up from her phone, and anything could happen and she could have everything else ready, but because she's so lacking of situational awareness, she probably wouldn't be alerted quick enough to protect herself if she didn't have that situational awareness. So let's walk through how to do each of these tasks. So knowing your risk and your response. There's a rule of thumb. It's a great rule of thumb, by the way. It basically says for most emergencies, it's hard to do this with some, like an earthquake, but when we're talking about a hazardous material event, when we're talking about a tsunami, when we're talking about fires, the general rule of thumb is if you are standing and you put your thumb in front of you and you close one eye, if you aren't able to block the entire hazard with your thumb, you are too close to it and you should get further away. So that's just a trick for some of those hazards to try to stay away from them. But when we talk about hazards in Santa Clara County, and full disclaimer, it's going to be slightly different for every city. You're not going to see the same hazards in San Jose as you will see in Gilroy, as you will see in Cupertino. So this is all hazards for the entire county. This is pulled from the county's hazard mitigation plan, you can look at a specific jurisdiction's hazard mitigation plan to see exactly what the rankings are. So overall in the county, earthquake, flood, and severe weather are our highest risks, followed by dam and levee failures, landslides, wildfires, and droughts. If you read a hazard mitigation plan, I recommend skimming through it, at least seeing a little bit about what's happening and what's being done to help mitigate those risks. There's also a website called myhazards.caloes.ca.gov. And on this website, you are able to type in your address and you're able to see a few things. You can see um, any fire hazard severity zones, so where there's a high wildland fire risk. You can see liquefaction and earthquake zones, so where there are faults and where the soil's not solid and could liquefy during a earthquake. And you can see some flood and tsunami zones as well. So it gives you a nice overview of some of those big risks, and you can see where you're at. Um, I looked at it a few days ago because I was curious at my new apartment, and I'm not near a zone or liquefaction, so that's nice to know. I'm right up on a fire area, which I already knew because I faced the Eden fire. So, um, really cool site. I recommend checking it out and seeing what your hazards are for your home, for your school, your work, your organization. So I am gonna stop sharing and share a video real quick again of an earthquake simulation. Second. Everyone can see my screen okay?
Yes, it looks great.
Yes.
So in a second, you will see a simulation of a earthquake, a large earthquake. And as you see those big pieces of furniture and the water heater that were not bolted to the foundation, they fell over. And you can kind of get an idea. Look around where you are right now. If you felt an earthquake like that, is there anything that can fall that can harm you? Um, are the things that need to be bolted? Are you in a safe place is the question there, and how can you make it safer? So let's get back to that presentation.
Luna, can you show it one more time? Because it happens really fast. And of course, there are some non-traditional things in this living room and kitchen, like a hot water heater and a filing cabinet. But these are things that commonly fall over. So, look at that behavior and look at where the safest place in the room is if you had to drop, cover, and hold. So yeah, it's definitely under a table, not beside a table. Ignore anyone that ever says triangle of life. That's an urban myth. So you need to be under a sturdy object. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So going back here. So when the shaking starts, you guys have heard this a million times, I'm sure. Drop, cover, and hold on. When you're outside, find somewhere that nothing can fall on you and you can't fall into anything. When you're inside, do the same. If there's a sturdy something that can protect you, like a sturdy table, get under it. Protect your neck, protect your head. and try to avoid having anything fall on you or you falling into anything. And so there was a earthquake of 4.0. I was in Los Angeles and I was living with my sister and I was on the bed and the earthquake started. And as an emergency manager, I have everything in my room nice and secure. So I was watching. I was actually curious. I knew my building was built way past 1978. It was up to code. We're not collapsing. We're not in a liquefaction zone. We're okay. So I'm just looking around. I'm on my bed. Nothing can fall on me. I can't fall on anything. Nothing's on top of my head. So I'm watching my TV, which is secure, wobbling a little back and forth to see if I successfully secured everything. Meanwhile, my sister in the other room runs out of her room. The dog starts running like crazy. And she runs into my room and says, "What do I do?" By this time, earthquake has stopped. And I said, "Not that. Don't do that. What you just did, do not do that." She's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" I was like, "Where were you?" I was on my bed. There's no picture frames. There's nothing that can fall on her bed. I was like, "Stay on your bed. Hold your dog. Don't let him out of the room so that he can run wild and potentially step on glass or harm himself." So the idea, be where nothing can fall on you and you can't fall into anything. If you're driving, slow down. Stop. Don't brake rapidly and cause an accident. Slow down and try to stop somewhere where there's not a tree, a power line, a bridge, that could make you insecure. And then when the shaking stops, what you absolutely do not do is run. Do not run. Do not take the elevator and move with caution. Things can fall after the earthquake has stopped. There likely is glass, there's likely spills, there's likely things that can pose a hazard to you. So move with caution, and especially if you have an animal, secure them. Put them on a leash. They will be scared, so you want to be there for them as well. And then when an earthquake stops, you want to check all of your appliances. So you want to check your gas appliances, your gas meter. If you smell gas or rotten eggs, if you hear hissing, if you see the dials spinning on a gas meter, that likely means that you have a gas leak. We do not recommend you shut off your gas unless you verify that there could be a gas leak because you need the gas company typically to turn it back on for you. So like after Loma Prieta, some people turned off the natural gas to their homes. Since no one knew if there were really leaks, they had to wait for the utility company to come and check, and homes were out of gas service for a couple weeks. So make sure there's a gas leak or that there's a suspected gas leak. Don't take a chance, but don't just shut off your gas if there's no signs that there's a gas leak as well. Um, and you may hear hissing noises. It sounds kind of exactly like gas is coming out, but you should know where your gas meter is, and you should keep an eye on this, especially after an earthquake. If there's a gas leak and you do need to shut off the gas, a 12 to 15-inch crescent wrench is the best way to do it. There's other tools you can make work. It's good when you check where your gas meter is to put a crescent wrench right next to the gas shut off so that you are able to quickly do it and not have to run around and look, try to find something. You can get crescent wrenches for like $15 from most hardware stores. So definitely recommend having one. And then you turn it 1/4 in either direction to shut off the gas, as you can see in the picture.
And I'll just throw in that if you do leave a crescent wrench near your meter, put it in a Ziploc bag and spray some WD-40 on it so it doesn't rust. You can test your meter by doing it, moving it 1/4 turn in either direction versus, or an eighth of a turn, sorry. And just to make it wiggle. And if it doesn't, you can call your gas company to come out and loosen it up for you. The dial, do you have a picture of the dial, Luna? Sorry. If not, Yeah. Oh, let me talk about this picture for a second, because this is emergency manager in me. So in California, that water heater is not to code because it can't be sitting on the ground like that. And it also doesn't have anything wrapped around it, which is one of the mitigation strategies for that first picture. They sell kits that have the metal wire with the holes in it that goes around the water heater to bolt it to the wall. Most people do that incorrectly. You don't just bolt it to the wall. It needs to go around the whole thing one whole time and then into the wall so that it can't wiggle either direction. Sorry, I'll stop there.
No, no, you're good. That is very helpful information because it's not just learning this, it's taking the steps and using them.
Yeah. And
Um,
the
it,
dial. So go out and look at your meter when you're using gas normally so that you can see what normal looks like. And then when you go out after an earthquake, if it's spinning wildly, that's a clue. You need to turn it off.
Mhm. And then if you also live in an apartment, you might have your meter maybe with other people, so you should talk to your apartment manager about which meter belongs to your unit and what to do if you can't tell which meter is leaking. Um, and if you can't shut off the power, if for some reason you are unable to shut off the gas and you're smelling or hearing or seeing something you shouldn't be seeing or smelling or hearing, uh, open the windows and doors on your way out and get out. You don't want to be in a room filled with gas. The smallest spark, and I mean, it doesn't have to be a match. It can be your phone. It can be a flashlight. It can be turning on a light. Can cause an explosion in a house or building filled with gas. So use caution. If you do, if you're able to, shut off your gas. Do not shut it back on or turn it back on without the gas company's the gas company doing it for you, and call the gas company and 911 immediately after you shut off the gas or you exit the building so that they can come and deal with the issue so it doesn't become a larger hazard.
Not 911. Sorry. Unless there's an actual leak. But if you turn it off and there's no more hazard,
If you
that's
turn it off, you call the gas
non-business.
company. If you don't turn it off, you should
Yeah,
call the
but
gas
then if
company
you turn it
911.
off and there's no leak, you call PG&E and ask to set up a time to come out. That's not a 911
Yes.
call. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry,
but
just
if
to
you're not
clarify.
able to turn off the gas, you should call
Call
911.
911, absolutely,
Yes,
and get far, far away.
absolutely. And try to vent it out as much as you can to prevent explosions. So opening the door. If you have a gas leak in your house, opening the door as you're out. Don't close it on your way out. It's kind of the opposite of what you would do with like an active shooter, right? Like you're trying to shut everything down and get out, but this time you're trying to open everything and get out to reduce the buildup of gas in your home. And that's the same with carbon monoxide poisoning, is opening everything on your way out to prevent something from happening if you're unable to shut something off. If you're able to shut it off, you've prevented the hazard. So at that point, you just call the gas company. But if you're not able to shut it off, you do want to escalate it because you can have an explosion in your home with gas. And I already mentioned keep flames and sparks away. So earthquakes can also cause fires. You may have a fire without an earthquake. You should always have fire alarms on all levels of your home. You should be checking the batteries for them. You should be replacing them every 10 years. And if there is a fire, you should attempt, if you know how to and you have the equipment, to turn off, extinguish a fire that is the size of a small trash can or smaller. If it's bigger than that, it's not something you, unless you are a trained firefighter, that you should be trying to take on your own. You can risk your own life. Now, if you see a small fire, you're cooking, your pot turns on fire, you want to turn off the thing that's causing the fire if possible, right? And then you should have a fire extinguisher on all levels of your home as well, and you should know how to use it. So walking through what the fire extinguishers look like, and there's different types, so we'll walk through that as well. Most fire extinguishers are about 10 pounds. They work for about 15 seconds, which is why we're saying only for tiny fires, because you're not gonna have a lot of power on that fire extinguisher to turn off something bigger. Um, so there's a pressure gauge that shows pressure on it. The handles are in the front, and you're pulling that bottom handle, and then you have a pin, and you pull the pin, but you should pull and twist the pin because just pulling it can be difficult to get the safety mechanism off so that you can use the handle. When you're using a fire extinguisher, what you're doing is you're going to pull the pin, pull and twist. You're going to aim that nozzle. So going back to walk you through that. We have our nozzle down here. So you're going to aim the part that you're shooting, right? This little gray part. After you pull and twist that safety pin, and then you're going to squeeze the handles and sweep back and forth. Again, you're not going to have a lot of power on this fire extinguisher. You're going to have about 15 seconds or so, presuming it is full, to turn off the fire. So you have a small fire, utilize it. If you don't, you want to exit immediately, leave the area, call 911, alert everyone, pull any fire alarms. With that said, there's different types of fire extinguishers. You have type A that's for fires, like related to wood, paper, and clothing. You have type B that's for like gas and oil. So think when you're cooking, that's typically the type of fire extinguisher you want to use is a type B. And then you have electrical wiring and appliances, and that's a type C fire extinguisher. You can see some fire extinguishers will have like ABC or AC or AB. So just make sure you have the proper fire extinguisher for what you're doing. So you should have a type B or combination type that includes B near your kitchen for grease fire. You should have type C electrical for electrical fires that could potentially happen. If you try to put water on a grease or electrical fire, you can make it much, much worse. So water works on those combustibles, but it doesn't work very well on those oils and electrical fires. I do recommend, if you haven't, join a CERT class, learn how to do this, have a practice if you can, ask the fire department next to you if you're not comfortable, because you can prevent a small kitchen fire or small candle fire or something along that lines from destroying your home if you have the proper fire extinguisher and you know how to use it.
Hey,
Do
Luna,
you
this
want
is
to?
Don.
Yeah,
Can I jump
yeah,
in for a second?
please.
Okay, and just for that photograph, for anybody that hasn't ever used a fire extinguisher before, that person is standing about twice as far back as what they should be. And when you're sweeping back and forth, you're not, basically creating a fog pattern in the parking lot like this. You want to sweep back and forth just at the base of the flames. So get closer, use a steady stream at the base of the flames. You sweep back and forth. You don't light up the whole parking lot with the extinguisher like this particular person has done. And I'll echo the CERT training. Definitely take CERT training. It's fabulous.
Absolutely. And then one last thing, aside from fire extinguishers for those kitchen fires, trying to snuff out the flame or smother out the flame is a really good idea too, especially if you don't have a fire extinguisher handy. If you ever have a kitchen fire, turn off the stove first and then try to put a lid if it's small enough or smother the flames if possible. The first instinct when we see fire is water, and that's not the right instinct when we're dealing with grease fires. So just cautionary tales there. And thank you, Don, for that additional what not to do. You want to be close enough where you're actually effective in turning off the fire and not too close where you're burning yourself. And it is really good to practice. Practice does make perfect. It makes us able to confidently do what we need to do.
Right, so I
Um,
took over the screen so I can show you the video.
let me stop sharing. Real quick before you
Um,
show the video, we have a couple of chats. 1 second. Suppression blanket is another viable option. Absolutely. So it's another way to smother a fire, right? So fire blankets do work. They can smother fires. They are designed to be fire resistant. And when we talk about fires, we're talking about three things that cause a fire, right? You have the spark, you have the thing that's burning, and you have the oxygen. So if you stop one of those three things from happening, you stop a fire. Obviously, you stop the spark, you stop the fire from happening. When we talk about wildfires, you hear them cutting line. They say they're cutting line. That means they're removing combustibles in front of the fire so the fire can't spread further. And then the other way that we turn off fires is removing the oxygen. So when we put a lid or a fire blanket, we can smother a fire. If you've ever seen someone on fire, like videos or how to, and you with the stop, drop, and roll instructions, sometimes you'll see someone trying to pat them down with a blanket or a jacket or something to try to smother the flames. We're trying to remove the oxygen from the flame, because you remove the oxygen, you remove the fire.
Okay, so hopefully this is working. So this is the, they're working, having a buddy there because this is a CERT training. This burn pan is a little bit big for a 10-pound fire extinguisher, but we'll watch them. It's very quick. I'll show it twice. Okay. Now let me stop it. And I think that, you know, 2 lessons from that. One is that there's a lot of smoke, powder, dry chemical that comes out of the extinguisher, and it's very, very hard to see through. So if you are outside doing this, you want to have the wind blowing at your back. If you're in a house, you can just, and this is why it's a little hazardous and why you want to prevent fires in your house, or do the simpler method, which is a pot, you know, closing the oven if the oven's on fire, putting a pot on the lid on the pot to put it out, because you will expect to not be able to see for a bit, until the powder settles down. So it's very messy. Prevent fires, don't fight them.
So if we do have a big fire, get out. Let people know that there's a fire. Alert everyone you can. Call 911. Anytime there's an emergency, avoid elevators. Take the stairs. If there's an emergency, take the stairs. That's just another good rule of thumb. If you're stuck in a fire, you wake up and there's smoke everywhere and you can't see and you can't breathe, get down, get low, to avoid the smoke. Smoke will kill you before the fire does. So you want to try to avoid inhaling smoke as much as possible. And like with gas, with CO2, you want to shut the doors on your way out to stop the spread of the fire. And be careful as you're opening doors, because if there's fire on the other side of a door and you open that door, that fire is going to come into your face. Also, if you try to open a knob with a fire on the other end, it's going to be really hot and you'll likely burn yourself. So the goal is to get out. If you can't get out, it's to get low, try to get to a window, try to get some exit, or at least warn someone where you are so that the fire department can come and rescue you. But definitely alert everyone, especially if you're in a building. Don't just run and leave everyone to themselves. So moving forward, when we talk about earthquakes and after an earthquake, we talked about gas, we talked about fires. Electricity is another thing that can be damaged in an earthquake. So if you see sparks, if you see signs of an electric fire, just like when we see signs of a kitchen fire, you want to turn off the stove. In the same mannerism, you want to turn off the things that's causing an electrical fire or that could cause an electrical fire. So everyone has your electrical panel. It should be somewhere in your house, your building. You may have multiple in your buildings. You want to turn off the electricity. First, you turn off all the individual switches, then the main switch, and then when you're turning it back on, you do the opposite. So find where it is, know where it is, and know how to use it for if there's if there's signs of electrical damage. And again, that if you're seeing sparks, if you're seeing like the smell of burning coming from some of your outlets, if you're seeing an electrical fire coming from one of your outlets, that's the first thing that you should do. You don't want to try to turn off a fire before you get rid of the source, because you're not going to beat that fire. Now, when we talk about water, if you see a leak or breakage, you want to shut off the valve or the underground meter. So the shut-off valve is located where water enters your building. If the earthquake causes water pipes to break, the water can cause a lot of damage. It can be flowing inside your house, outside your house. If you see the bottom two pictures, those show the underground residential water meter. So you have your meter leading into your house, and then you have that underground meter as well. And you'll need a 12 to 15 inch crescent wrench as well. Really similar as far as when we talk about the tools we need and the meters, and making sure that you have them in the areas they need to be and they're ready to go. They're in a plastic bag, they're greased, so that you can quickly shut off the water and prevent damage. After earthquake, what you will also see is potential building damage. If your home was built before 1978 and has not been retrofitted, you should definitely get it retrofitted. After 1978, our earthquake codes did get a lot stronger. That doesn't mean there won't be damage, but it has helped reduce collapses and reduce damage on buildings. If you see the door stuck, if you see foundations having deep cracks, if you see your parking area or your front lawn, that the pavement got pushed up, large diagonal cracks moving up your building, you don't want to be in that building. So if you see that after an earthquake, what you should do is you should exit the house carefully, and you should not re-enter. You should get a building official, get someone to inspect your home. Generally, your local jurisdiction will make those connections post-earthquake, and help with those damage assessments to help people get back in their home with the support of the state and largely the feds if there's a big enough earthquake. So during the Northridge, the 1994 earthquake, that was there were FEMA officials who were supporting, Cal OES was supporting LA County in a lot of those inspections of homes. With that said, you should have plans and be prepared if there's damage to your home on where you would go and where you can stay until your home is deemed safe to enter. You don't want to enter a home and have something collapse then. And it can happen because aftershocks can happen. So if a building is already damaged, you're putting yourself at risk being there by entering a damaged home. And aftershocks typically can happen, so can foreshocks. So when we talk about aftershocks, we're saying that the shaking is less than the first shaking. When we talk about foreshocks, that means there was a big earthquake and a bigger one's coming. So you want to keep that in mind when the earth starts shaking, that it might not be the last time it's shaking. And it could be bigger the next time around. It could be smaller, but you want to be cautious. We've mentioned CERT, and I will say your first line of defense during any emergency is your neighbors, your families, your friends, the people within reaching distance of you physically. Those are the people who can come to your aid the quickest. During a large earthquake, the first hour, the fire department's just going to be doing window surveys. They're trying to understand where the disaster struck hardest and how to do the most amount of good for the most amount of people. So they're not going to stop for a collapsed or damaged building with injured people inside initially, because they're trying to see what's going on, because there might be a school with 2,000 people in it that's damaged and needs rescues. And if you're going to save people, I know this sounds callous, but you have to choose when time is of the essence and do the most good you can. So you got to do those evaluations, and that's what our first responder agencies do. They look around and they say what's happening before they decide how to respond so that they can save as many people as physically possible. And they'll eventually get to all the homes, but eventually. It won't be initially, especially in a large emergency, especially in a large earthquake, because earthquakes have a larger geographic impact and they will require a lot more from the first responders than, say, a fire where we know where it is and we're not having to check to see the impacts. It's right there in front of us and we're more easily able to see and address it. So being ready, checking on our neighbors, our families and friends, and joining your local community emergency response team are ways to help. They're going to be the people who help you at the end of the day initially and can be those lifesavers. So the CERT classes will teach you life-saving stuff. They will teach you basic medical triage, basic search and rescue. Many of the classes teach how to use a fire extinguisher. There's also classes through like the Red Cross. You can learn CPR. You can learn basic first aid. So learn as much as you can so you can help as much as you can, and join a CERT team if you can. Take a class, and if you have an active CERT team in your area, join them, because again, having a group of people who are trained and able to help will save lives. Other issues when we talk about earthquakes and just in general too. Tsunamis, wildfires, power outages are other things that can accompany earthquakes, and they can come without earthquakes as well. When we talk about wildfires, follow authorities' instructions on evacuations. If they tell you to leave, if you are under an evacuation order, get out. Don't wait. You may not be able to get out if you wait. If you're under evacuation warning, consider leaving and prepare your stuff. And if you need extra time, it's a good time to leave now. And if you feel that you're at risk and there's no evacuation warning or order, leave. If you, at any point in any time in your life, if you feel that the situation you are in is not safe, get out. That applies to wildfires, but it applies to everything else. Another issue with wildfires is poor air quality, and I evacuated for the Eden fire, and when I came home, I was so prepared with all my stuff except my air purifier. So I do recommend getting a couple air purifiers because they get sold out during wildfires. And when I say sold out, I mean regionally sold out, because the air quality gets bad for everybody wherever the wind's blowing. So it can affect you from Santa Clara County if there's a fire in Monterey County, and it can affect you if there's a fire in Fresno or in wherever it might be, if plumes are big enough and the wind's pushing in the right direction. Tsunamis can be triggered by earthquakes, and it doesn't have to be in, you may have already received those tsunami advisories previously a few weeks ago because of the Russia earthquake. So it does not have to be an earthquake that hits you for a tsunami to hit you. If you see water going back, if way back, like, wait, that wave should, tsunamis are waves. So you see the high tide and how the waves go back a little, but if you see it receding a lot, you see wildlife in the ocean like appearing like, whoa, it's receding far, that means a tsunami wave is coming, and you want to get to higher ground and away from the coastline as quickly as possible. Um, that is the way to survive a tsunami. Do not wait for the wave to go down and come back down, because tsunamis are multiple waves. It's not a wall of water. It's multiple waves coming in and out. So what we see with tsunamis is the people who do get to higher ground sometimes come down thinking, oh, it was one wave and it's over, and another wave comes and kills them. So get to higher ground, get away from the coastline, do not return until officials say it is okay to do so. And finally, if you have a power outage, this may happen as part of an earthquake, it may happen as part of a wildfire, it may just happen. If there is a long-term power outage, you want to keep freezers and refrigerators closed. Fuller they are, the longer they'll last. You want to turn off or disconnect your appliances, equipment, and electronics. Leave one light on. And the reason for that is when the power comes back, the power may surge. It will fry your charging laptop. It can destroy your TV or your electric equipment that's plugged in. So unplugging them is a good idea when there's a long-term power outage to avoid that damage. And then we tend to see during power outages higher numbers of carbon monoxide poisoning. Uh, so the way that happens is people use generators incorrectly. They use them within their house or too close to their house, so the carbon monoxide gets in. They may use camp stoves or charcoal grills inside, which they shouldn't. All of those things have to be used outside. If you use them inside, you can cause carbon monoxide poisoning. It is extremely deadly. So anytime you decide to use a camp stove, use a grill, use a generator during a power outage, keep it at least 2 feet away from your windows, your doors, and outside of your home. And never, ever, ever use a gas stove top or an oven to heat up your home. So carbon monoxide alarms should be on all levels of your home, just like fire alarms should be on all levels of your home. It is a silent, deadly killer, and it's completely avoidable. If an earthquake happens during the summer and there's a power outage, you can see cascading effects of emergencies, and earthquakes are one of those big ones that you do see some of those cascading effects. So if an earthquake happens in the summer or during a hot time, I know like the heat is lasting through November at this point, so it might not even be summer, but it might be hot outside, and there's a power outage, you need to take steps to be safe from the heat. So even if there's not a power outage, you still want to take those steps if there's a heat advisory, a heat warning, but especially if you can't cool down from AC because there's power outages. The ways to stay safe during heat is drink plenty of fluids, stay hydrated, avoid alcohol, avoid coffee, avoid salty food, eat fresh fruits and vegetables to help keep you hydrated, drink lots of water, avoid high energy activities. If and when possible, go into air conditioning, a place with air conditioning, but if you can't, at least try to stay in shade and wear loose, lightweight, light-colored clothing. Uh, if there's no power outage, you may be able to use a mall or a library or a community center or go to the movies to escape the heat. But if the power is out, do what you can. Remember that if it is hotter than 95 degrees outside, a regular like standing fan will no longer cool down your room. It will just redistribute the heat and make it feel like it's cooler when it really isn't. I will say heat is deadly, extremely deadly. It is the most deadly climate related disaster that exists. It's more deadly than flooding. It's more deadly than tornadoes or hurricanes. In Chicago, it killed many, many people, and it's done that throughout the world because we don't take it seriously. And in Chicago, the heat wave in Chicago, it primarily killed single men. single men, because they would go in their house, they would put the fan and go to sleep, and they wouldn't wake up. So being aware and staying hydrated and being aware of those different heat-related illnesses is really, really important. Um, if you feel faint, if you feel dizzy, you're sweating a lot, clammy skin, you're feeling a little nauseous, your pulse is weak, maybe having muscle cramps, that means you're suffering from heat exhaustion. So cool down. Do what you can to cool down. Get a cold, wet towel and put it on your face. Take a cold shower, drink some water, go somewhere cooler than where you're at. If your head starts throbbing and the sweat goes away and your pulse moves from weak to strong and really rapid, that means you're suffering from a heat stroke and that can kill you. Call 911, get medical help immediately. And never, ever, ever, ever leave a person or an animal alone in inside of a vehicle on a warm day without the air conditioning off. Even if the windows are cracked, even if you're in a shady area, even if it's 80 degrees outside, it can get up to 110 in the car on an 85-degree day. So avoid that. And then also for your pets, if it's hot outside, don't let them walk on asphalt. I know that's not earthquake related, but that's pet love related. If you don't know if it's too hot for your pets to walk on asphalt, put your hand or your arm on the asphalt, and if it burns you, it's burning them. I don't think enough people are aware of that. Asphalt absorbs the heat and gets way hotter, like the grass or the sidewalk. So just use caution when walking pets in the heat also. So, see a chat.
I'm going to jump back 1 second because you said something, but I know that's not what you meant. If it's 95 degrees outside, hopefully your house for the most part will stay cooler than that. But when the temperature that you're fanning, so inside your house, if it's 95 degrees, you create like convection heat. So it's not going to cool down the air anymore. If your house is 95 degrees, depending on your health conditions, you probably really need to go somewhere else. If you can't sit in a tub of cool water or do some of those things. And it's particularly important for people that are bedbound, that you have to have a plan on how to get out, not just for heat, but for everything. You need people that can come and get you out of that situation. So just want to
And
make sure that that was clear to everybody.
absolutely. And Dawn, thank you. Yes, absolutely. It's not 2 feet. I don't know if I misspoke or maybe I didn't say it loud enough. 20 feet is how far you should have barbecue grills, generators, outside cooking material away from windows and doors. 20 feet. So 10 feet, I don't believe is enough. 2 feet is definitely not. 20 feet is how far you want your stuff to be when you're cooking or using a generator outside to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning.
And I'll thank Don too, and all of you. We encourage you to challenge all preparedness information that you hear, because it's not all good information. And if you just take it at face value, or you don't quite understand it, it's not going to do you any good. So thanks, Don, for the clarification. Anybody else, if you've heard something different, you're allowed to say that. And then we can verify which one is most helpful for the situation.
Absolutely.
Public source of life safety standards. You know, I was going to say OSH, and that's not OSHA. If you look in the OSHA website, they have really good guidance on heat standards for work, which can apply to home. Ready.gov is okay. Cadre's website is excellent. We have a whole section on heat and earthquakes and everything, which has been a compilation of what we have gathered over the years that we feel are like the best of the best. But that doesn't mean that we have everything. So if you have another resource that's good, let's put it there so we have a one-stop shop.
And I would add to that. So OSHA is great for heat, and then you have subject matter experts for every single one of the hazards we talked about. So wildfires, we refer to CAL FIRE for our guidance when we talk about wildfires. The Earthquake Authority helps with earthquakes. They do provide guidance on that. So does USGS. They feed a lot of that science of it. So every single hazard does have their experts and does have the science behind them pushing this information. Where we gather this information to develop presentations like this are directly through those experts. With that said, science brings discoveries and we learn new things and things change. So once upon a time, it was a good idea to get in your door, under your door, to protect you from an earthquake, but that was because the building codes were much worse and collapses were much more common. And that was at the time, based on that previous building code that no longer is in effect, was a stronger part of your home. So at the time, it was good advice. Now we have new building codes, and our buildings, that's not the safest place anymore. It's actually a weaker place now. So now that it's the opposite advice that goes about. So policies change, codes change, regulations change. Our science grows, we learn more with every disaster experience, and we're constantly building on that knowledge to try to give the best advice possible.
And
And please,
please,
yes, correct things.
please test your assumptions. So if you are planning, and this is the thing that most guidance doesn't really provide. It'll like, here's a list of emergency supplies, but why do you need those particular supplies? So you really need to understand the purpose, and when you understand what you need personally to be out of your house for a week, then you know exactly what needs to go in your kit, because it's like going away from home to a campground for a week. You know exactly what to put in your kit. So a lot of the government, they don't think about making it practical for the consumer. They're giving you the details, but then you need to practice those at your level so that you're good with it. Even the community emergency response team program, which I ran in Cupertino for 10 years, when you take what they teach you and actually try to put it in practice, there are all kinds of things that aren't addressed. And so, if you say, I'm going to put a wrench out by my gas meter, I'm going to go out and see if I can wiggle my gas meter. Oh, I can't. So you tested your plan and it wasn't going to work in the real event. So and then you find ways to fix that by calling your utility company. But again, don't just put it in your head, actually practice it. When an earthquake or something unfortunate happens in another jurisdiction, another county, another state, pull out your emergency kit and look at it. Look at what they're going through and see if your kit could help you survive that thing. And that's how you should build your kit, by really taking it personally.
Awesome. So we walk through basic response, basic hazard risk. Our second step is getting informed. For an earthquake, you'll know an earthquake happened. But if you want to know a few seconds before an earthquake's going to happen, potentially, sign up for the MyShake app. So this app gives us, it detects the earthquake not before it's going to happen, but right when it's happening. And unless you're right at the epicenter, it'll give you a few seconds of notice. The further you are from the epicenter, the more notice you're going to end up getting. It gives notice, it pre-programs either 4.5 or a 5.0 earthquake, but you can change that programming. 4.5. So you can change that programming on the settings and you can decide you only want to be alerted if it's a 6.0. No, I want to be alerted for anything above a 3.0. You can change that, you can modify it. Just make sure you download it and make sure it's up to date. If it's not updated, it won't go off. I've learned that the hard way. If it's not updated, it won't go off. So make sure it's up to date. Set up like the auto updates or just check it every once in a while and definitely download it it can give you the few seconds to get out of harm's way, to get under a table, to get somewhere safe, or slowly pull over. Get if you're in the kitchen and you haven't yet earthquake proofed your kitchen, get away from it'll give you the time to get away from the glass so that you don't end up really injured. Uh, when we talk about earthquakes, it's our number one. When we talk about all hazards, Alert Santa Clara County is the county's alert system. All of our counties, all of our cities are attempting, if not already on an alert system, and there's a reason for that. If a wildfire happens in the middle of the night, and you're not going to be checking the news. You're not going to be checking your text. You need a phone call that's going to wake you up, that's going to alert you, that's going to say, get out now. And people have died without that. So it might not be a wildfire. It could be a man-made disaster. It could be a flood. It could be a tsunami. It could be any type of disaster. It could be after an earthquake, there's a gas explosion and it's really close to you and you need to know where to go. So Alert SCC, definitely the next page will show the information on that, but definitely sign up for that. And then know where your trusted sources are, where you can find information that is accurate and how to connect. And that goes back to our support networks. So let's walk through that a little. So Alert SCC, QR codes here, websites alertscc.com. That's the phone number. You want to save the phone number and the no reply email. You're not contacting them, you're saving them so it doesn't spam them. That way you're not like, oh, a spam call and it's really an alert trying to save you from something. During any emergency, what you'll see is these alerts will tell you about protective actions and it'll usually link to additional information about the incident. So if it's telling you to evacuate, they're not usually going to tell you evacuate online. Like on that notification, if it sends you a text or gives you a call, it's going to say evacuate this area, more information, and it will usually direct you to an incident page. And if you can't find that incident page, come to Cadre's page and we'll link you to it on our active incident page. You can sign up for multiple locations and you can sign up for text, email, or phone call. I strongly, strongly recommend phone calls. I think it's really, really important because, again, if you're sleeping, you're not waking up to a text or an email. And thank you for putting those in there. So Listos does also have a list of notification systems for all counties. So if you're listening from San Benito County or another county, please do check out the alerts for your own county, for your own city, and sign up for them. Make sure that you're in the loop so that you are getting alerts when something is happening that you can stay safe from and you should stay safe from. My shake is right here. Marsha also put it into the chat, but here's the QR code for the App Store and Google Play. It will make a noise that's not like the other noises, like similar, you know how like Amber Alerts make a special noise. The My Shake will make a noise and it will alert you. Make sure notifications are on. It's not helpful to you if notifications aren't on. And then here's a QR code for our trusted sources of information, specifically for our county. So feel free to take a look at that. All right, let's talk about having a plan. So you've gotten the alerts, you know what to do, you know how to stay safe when something immediately happens. But having a plan is how you're going to get through the long term of an emergency response and get through emergency recovery, along with how you can help facilitate that survival. So if you know that there's a wildfire, you know you need to evacuate because you signed up for alerts, but you don't have someone to help you evacuate. You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do. It's not going to help you as much to just get out. You're going to be stuck. What do I do? Same thing with earthquake. Your building's damaged. You knew to exit the building, but now what? What do you do now? You can't find your family. You don't know the phone numbers that you need, whatever it might be. You want to have plans for your response. So how will you address your basic needs? And it's going to be different for everybody. We're talking about right after the disaster, but you're also talking about until things get back to normal. Where can you turn for help? What support systems do you have? How will you communicate? If you're at work and your child is at school, what's the plan? Your school has a plan. You should learn their plan and incorporate their plans into your plan so you know what to do. What happens if your sibling is at a movie, and you're at home and you guys can't get a hold of each other because the earthquake made the power and communication systems go down? How are you getting a hold of one another? How are you responding to each disaster you're at risk of? If you have to evacuate, where are you going? How are you getting there? If you have to shelter in place, what room can you stay in? If it's a hazmat event, if it's an active shooter event, what do you do? Um, where can I go? What can I do and how do I do it? So this is a thought experiment. Write down your plan because you don't want to have to just memorize it, and you want to be able to share it, especially if you need help. If you need help, you're someone who can't evacuate on your own and you do need some support, how are you going to get it? If you're someone who needs specific medications to stay alive or to thrive, how are you going to replace them? If you need dialysis and the dialysis center is closed and you have to evacuate to a different location, where are you evacuating, and can you get a backup location and connect with them beforehand? This is all part of that planning. So I know it's overwhelming. My recommendation on this, do this how you please, but my recommendation is once a week or once a month, pick a disaster, start with the one you're most at risk of experiencing, and do a thought experiment. All right, if this happens and my building's damaged, where do I go? What if I can't go there? Can my pets go there? Can everyone in my family go there? If not, where do we go? What do we do? And just walk through the whole scenario of what's happening. A great way to build a plan is to do a drill, uh, because that can give you an idea of what to do. And a great time to do a drill is on October 16th or the Great Shakeout. So if you want to prepare for earthquakes as your first sign of preparedness, I would drop cover and hold on. The My Shake app will alert you to do that. And then I would walk through my house and say, okay, how would I get out? Oh, oops, I have a big bookshelf that's right in front of the main entrance and I can't exit from there. Which other way am I going to get out? Okay, now what am I going to do? All right, well, at this time right now, my loved ones are here and here. Oh, what happens if I can't call them? Where are we going to meet? Okay, and then if the building's damaged, where can we stay? And how are we going to get there? Okay, and then how am I going to deal with this with insurance? Is the insurance going to cover this? Oh, no, it doesn't. I have to have separate earthquake insurance. Okay. So as I'm walking through this, I'm finding my gaps. And I can make a plan to fill those gaps, but at the very minimum, I have a plan. And when things are chaotic, having that plan and practicing that plan can provide you a sense of familiarity and comfort that at the very minimum will reduce the chaos and trauma that a major emergency can do to you. But at the other end, if you actually take steps to fill in those gaps, you won't be left without a place to stay or a place to go or a way to get there or unable to contact your loved ones. You'll have a good idea of what you need to do next. So part of that is the communication. Few little steps on that. Landlines work better than cell phones, but not the fiber lines, like the copper lines work better. Payphones, if there's any that are still in existence. There's like two. I've seen two. They're both at hospitals. If there's one that exists, they work better than cell phones as well. Text and data will work better than phone calls. Why? Because the text, if you push the text, it's going to keep pushing. It's going to keep pushing. It's going to keep pushing every few seconds until it gets through. You're not doing that with a phone call. You're calling once, it's not going through, maybe twice or three times, but not 1,000 times. So the text will get through quicker, so will data. And long distance calls will work better than local calls because everyone's calling locally. Not a lot of people are calling out, so those pathways are a little clearer. Yes, and text does take less bandwidth than voice. So having a long distance, someone who lives at least 100 miles away from you, everyone in your family knows to call and also has their number memorized or written down off of the phone. The phone might not work, Phone might be broken from the emergency. It might just be dead because you forgot to pack your charger. We'll get to emergency kits in a second. But your phone might not work. How am I going to get a hold of my loved ones? Well, I have an aunt in Philadelphia. I have her number memorized. So does my sister, so does my mother, so does all my loved ones. And she knows that if there's an emergency, she's going to be our middleman, because if I can't get a hold of my mom, I'm calling her and saying, tell my mom I'm at this location and to meet me here. And she's going to relay that message for me. So having that communication, putting those communication uh, plans into your emergency plan is key too. Writing down those numbers, because you might not remember it. You might have a bad memory. I have a bad memory. I have trouble remembering all those numbers, which is why I have them written down, because I have two people's number memorized and that's it. Both of those people are too close to me to work for a long distance contact. So have it written down. I have my emergency numbers written on my fridge and in my go bag and in my car. And those are my three locations that I felt that they would best suit me, but everyone's different. So as you walk through your plans, make sure you're taking that. And when it comes to phones, if you can use your phone, great. Use charged batteries, like an extra charged battery, or take like a portable or solar or car charger. Have those on you. Have those in your go bag. Have those in your car. Have them in your house. If you have to quickly go, you have a way to charge your phone. Really good for earthquakes. Also really good for amusement parks. Just saying. Those long lines, you drain your battery. These things don't just work for a big emergency, by the way. When you're taking steps to plan and prepare, you're taking steps that will help make your life more convenient on a day-to-day, along with preparing yourself for an emergency. Conserving your phone battery in an emergency, especially if you don't have that charger, is really helpful. So let's say you don't take my advice and you don't have extra chargers, and an earthquake happens and you haven't charged your phone, and you're on 10%, but you need to get a hold of your loved ones to meet. Reduce the screen brightness, put on airplane mode until you need the phone, and then you turn it off and you can make your calls. Close all your apps and try to limit usage to try to keep the battery running for as long as possible. Turning off Bluetooth, Wi-Fi is also will help prevent drainage of the battery. Practice is so important. Have at least 2 emergency drills. Your first one can be on October 16th, but have another one next year, and do it for different disasters, and do it at different times of the day and different times of the year. Try to do one at night, because emergencies don't wait for the sun to come up to happen. Have drills in different places that you frequent, that you're most likely to be in. You're not trying to do the drill in a grocery store unless you spend a lot of time in a grocery store. But if you spend a lot of time at your work, you should have a drill at your work. And if you spend a lot of time in your home, you should have a drill in your home. Include everyone. Include everyone in your household. That includes kids and animals. And it's most beneficial for kids and animals. Animals need practice to be able to do something. My sister has a very cute little Maltese dog, and he doesn't know how to go in a carrier. And this is a problem, because if we needed to evacuate him, he's not going to get in the carrier. So she's been trying to convince him to get in the carrier on a regular day by taking him in the carrier to the park instead of on a leash to the park. So now he's associated the carrier with, I'm going to go to the park, giving him a treat in the carrier when he gets in it to try to prep him. Because if the first time he's going in a carrier is when there's a wildfire, he's going to panic out and he might run away and you might lose your pet, because they're not used to it. They're not familiar with it. And the same thing goes with kids. I did research in Southeast Louisiana, and I interviewed families who had dealt with evacuations. And specifically, I interviewed mothers and their children. And the children were about 7 years older from when it happened. So they still had a memory of it, but it was less fresh, but they were walking me through what had happened. And the kids whose parents had a plan and were calm and had taken supplies like books and board games to keep them entertained, and knew what to do and said, oh yeah, well, we had to evacuate before, so I knew what I was doing. I knew that we were going to be in a car for a long time, so I brought my favorite books and I played board games with my sister, and they didn't talk about it as a trauma. The kids who got ripped from their homes for the first time and forced into an evacuation that took 14 hours in traffic with no games, with nothing to do, and their parents are sitting in the front seats with tears in their eyes, terrified, they talked about it as the worst thing that's ever happened to them. And it's because we aren't familiar with something, it can have that deeper trauma because that unknown during a state of panic, it's not where you want to be. So practice, make it a game, make it fun for the kids, make it fun for the animals, make them used to quickly getting in a car so that you can quickly leave and not deal with that type of trauma, because you're creating a new trauma when we don't practice. And it's not just for kids and pets, it's for adults too. There's chaos. There's scary things happening. Our lives are at risk. We want to know what to do like it's something we've done all the time. And the way we do that is by doing it all the time. On nice occasions, make it a game. You don't have to give yourself anxiety over this. But if you make it a game now, when it really happens, you're going to just go into autopilot and you're going to be able to take the steps you need to, and it's not going to have the emotional toll it otherwise would. And part of having that plan, part of practicing, part of being prepared is having the supplies to be prepared. If you know that in a drill you should take a book with you and something to entertain yourself during a long evacuation, but you don't have a book or anything to entertain yourself, well, knowing isn't going to help you without the supplies. So, like Marcia said, everyone's kit is going to be different. Build your kit from your drill and your plan. If you practice something and you plan for it, you'll know where the gaps lie, and make backups, lots of backups. I'm a big proponent of plan A to Z, but I understand that's not realistic for everyone. So at least get me A to C. Have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. If you get there, you're on a good start. If you're a go-getter, you can go all the way up to Z. You can even go like A, B, A, C, A, D, and go even further than Z if you wanted to. But having plans, having backups, because usually when something happens, it never goes exactly as we planned. So having those backups is important. So some of the basics, and I'm giving you basics for kits, your kit needs to be unique to you and it needs to meet your needs. And I will say, from as someone who has evacuated this year, I needed 2 kits. I didn't need 1 kit because my earthquake stuff was with my evacuation stuff, and I don't need a helmet to leave for a wildfire. Um, and that's one of the bags I grabbed was all protective gear. And I was like, I don't need any of this. This is for an earthquake. The other bag I grabbed was perfect, but I ended up reshuffling my steps. So now I have a earthquake kit and I have a wildfire kit. You don't have to do it that way, but for me, it works really well because I'm right on a mountain that just caught on fire. So having those helps me personally. You may not be in that situation. You may need 1 bag. You may say, no, I want to have 3 bags for this, this, and this. You may have different supplies than I would, and that's perfectly okay. That's how it should be. Everyone is unique. Your risks are unique to your location, to your needs, to your household's needs. So make it fit you and just keep it up to date. So just a few things that to consider. In your house, food, at least a week's supply of food, water, medicine, a manual can opener if you have food that's canned. If you're going in the car, snacks. Snacks are so helpful, but comfortable snacks. Don't get the MREs. You don't want to eat the MRE. You want to eat your favorite granola bar. You want to eat your favorite packaged food that is a non-perishable that won't go bad. Plan for that. So in the car, when you're going, you want a couple days. You're thinking you might be in a 12, maybe a 20-hour traffic trying to evacuate a place, the things that you would need to get through that. And then at home, what happens if there's an earthquake and all the grocery stores are closed and there's no food coming in for the next week or 2? That's what you're trying to plan for here. Same thing with water and medicine. Medicine is tricky. Medicine is tricky because a lot of medicines, they won't give you a large supply. So I recommend working with your doctor to see what you can do to get enough medicine to get you by for a couple weeks during a major emergency. And if for some reason you have you have to take a narcotic or something like that, that they limit how much that you can get, work with your pharmacy, your doctor, to connect with a pharmacy and a doctor in an area that you think you'll evacuate to. So your sister lives in a city 10 cities away, and you would likely go stay with her because she has an extra room and she loves your dog. If that's the case, then that's where you should be trying to make those connections so that you can at least get another prescription in that location more easily. If you may have that communication set up, or at least have a copy of your prescriptions or something along that line. Whatever you can do, work with your physician to figure that out. Everyone's going to be a little different based on what medications they need and what medical equipment they need. Talked about those chargers, lots of chargers. All important devices need batteries, they need extra chargers. You want to change clothes and emergency blankets if you're evacuating. Obviously in your house, I'm sure you all have a change of clothes, but if you're on the go, especially if you're at work, and my go bag for my work, it has 3 changes of clothes. Do not forget your underwear or your socks. Those are things I keep seeing people forget in their work go bags, because I check my coworkers go bags to make sure they're good to go. They let me. I'm not like the snooping. But and I'm like, why does no one have socks? Like, you're gonna need socks. And if you wear heels to work, you're gonna need shoes, sturdy shoes. So plan for that. Toiletries, y'all were in the pandemic. You remember the toilet paper. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but have your toiletries, plenty of toilet paper, paper towels. They didn't go bad. You can have a bunch of them in your house. Deodorant, tampons, pads, toothbrush. It's not going to save your life, but it's going to make you feel a lot less shitty during a bad time. Excuse my language. Flashlight with extra batteries. Earthquake happens or just the power goes out for any given reason. You want a flashlight. You want a flashlight in your go bag. You want a flashlight in your car. You want a flashlight at work, and you want a flashlight right next to your bed. Because when you have a earthquake or you're sleeping and the power's out, you need to be able to see where you're going. If your car breaks down, you're gonna need to see what's happening. If there's a power outage at your work, same thing goes. Flashlights, extra batteries, don't forget the extra batteries. Important documents, cash, valuable possessions. Okay, this one is going to be unique for all of us, but you should have copies of any important documents. That's everything from your birth certificate to your passport, to your insurance documents, to your doctor's documents. All of that stuff should be in a flash drive or a cloud that's encrypted, should have copies with someone you trust. Whichever method you feel most comfortable, or multiple methods you feel comfortable backing up your information, it should not only be in one location, ever. It should be in multiple locations, secure locations. You want to prevent yourself from getting your identity or something stolen, but you also want to have those backups. So choose wisely, do what you feel comfortable with. You're not tech savvy, don't put it on a flash drive. Send it to someone you really trust and have them put it in a safe place. During a major emergency where the power's out, the cash ATMs won't work, and cash will be the way that you're going to get around. So having a little bit of cash on you is always a good idea. How much? It's up to you. I personally wouldn't keep $2,000 on me at any given time, but I would want at least on me, or at least 20 on me, to get me somewhere that I need to be. So having a little cash is helpful. And I will say, from the Eden fire, I had a lot of time. I knew what was happening because I'm an emergency manager and I was keeping up to date with everything, and I understood that there would be fires, and any fire that starts is going to be uncontrollable because of the weather. So I was fully aware of that, and as I was driving home, I saw the flames and I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I knew that it was coming towards my house because I saw the way the wind was blowing and I saw the way the fire was exploding. I got home before the evacuation warning came on, before the power went off. I had time. I had my go bags ready already. I started packing a couple suitcases, put them all in the car, made sure the car had gas, got it facing outward, Looked up, saw the fire, said, it doesn't look close yet. Evacuation warning's not here, but I'm ready to go. And at this point, I had too much time and my adrenaline was too high up. So I started walking through my house and saying, what am I going to miss if it burns down? And I started grabbing stuff that was really important to me. A ring my mom gave me, a necklace my grandma gave me. And then I was looking at the picture frames and I had to convince myself not to take the pictures because there's no space for the picture frames, even though I really like the pictures. So I took pictures of the picture frame, like the pictures in the picture frame. I said, I can make new ones. I can make new ones. This is not needed. But as I was walking through the house, I said, what is needed? Like, what matters to me? Oh, my old yearbook. Oh, I got to take that. So I put it in the suitcase. Oh, my favorite dress from my homeland. All right, I'm packing that. Oh, my favorite jersey. Okay, that one was expensive. I got to pack that. And so I walked through this because I had the luxury of it. It's better to do that beforehand, but knowing what your valuables are, knowing what those possessions that would really break your heart to lose and trying to preserve those. You can't do it with everything. If you have a couch you love so much, it's not you sorry. Like you're not gonna be able to take it with you in a wildfire evacuation. But you could take some sentimentals. So have some of those at least close to each other. They don't have to be packed, but at least in a position where they're close to one another, easy to pack up. This session is being recorded, yes, and we will have the link available online. I'll be posting it within the week, so just go to cadresv.org and it'll be right on the top of the announcements. And if you have any issues, we're happy to send it over. Marsha, you're muted if you're muted.
Yeah, yes. It'll be in the preparedness library under webinars. It'll be there.
Okay. First aid kit, medical equipment, your plan, a multi-purpose tool is always good to have. And again, these are suggestions. And a portable radio like the NOAA weather radios. I have a NOAA weather radio right here. I like it. It's personally very useful. It's given me a couple warnings so far. Good stuff to have. And radios work when the power's out and alerts won't. So they're good tools to have. And then just as far as extras go, next to your bed, flashlight, some shoes, whistle, help sign if possible are good, especially if you're trapped because of a fire or there's a power outage and you need to get around in your car. Your navigation might not always work. So a map of the area, compass, some spare keys to your house in case you get locked out, spare tire and jack, jumper cable, tow rope, for kids, pets, and yourself, non-electronic entertainment and comfort items. We all need our comfort items. Everyone has a different comfort item, but during chaotic events, it's good to have something to entertain yourself and make you feel comfortable. Obviously, if you have babies or pets, don't forget their supplies too, including their comfort items. Pets have comfort items too, and it will help keep them calm. Marsha put some really good a Dollar Tree list on here, and it's great because if you don't have a lot of money to be buffering up your supplies, you don't need a lot of money to be buffering up your supplies. You can make it happen without spending everything.
And it's an inspiration list. It has pet supplies, first aid supplies, and people supplies. We want people to ask, why do I need that? But it's also translated into 20 languages so that we can get more of the community prepared.
Absolutely. So circling back, as you walk through your plans for an earthquake and after any disaster, ask yourself now, not after the earthquake, but right now, what could you do to avoid the damage? There are things you can do to avoid damage for almost any hazard you are at risk of. You can't prevent every hazard. You can't stop the earth from shaking, but you can stop it from damaging your home. You can't stop every wildfire from happening, but you can stop some of them from happening, and you can stop it from harming your home as much as it could. Same things with floods, tsunamis, pretty much anything that you are at risk of facing. There are things you can do to help prevent or at least reduce the hazards. So walk through that and just imagine the conditions after a disaster were to happen and what you can do to try to reduce those impacts. Some things specifically for earthquakes, latching your cabinet doors. You can get those, by the way, 99 cents. It's like it's $1, and they're these little latches that if you shake the cabinet too hard, it locks it. So in an earthquake, all your glass won't fall on your head. You can secure your picture frames, your heavy items. If it's really light, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, this won't harm me, but if it was glass, it would, and I would want to have it secure. Um, Same thing with anything on your walls, taking anything in your bookshelves that are really high up that are heavy and moving them to the bottom and moving the lighter stuff to the top, the stuff that's less likely to harm you, anchoring your furniture, your appliances. We talked about doing those extra steps for the water heaters, strapping them. Whatever you can do to protect your home. If you're in a mobile home or an older home, consider retrofitting. If you have the cash to make it work, there is a brace and bolt program that gives you like $3,000 to help you retrofit your home. Applications are due on October 1st. When I stop sharing the screen, I will get you that link. Um, but there are some programs that can help. And you should do what you can to keep your home safe, because earthquakes are one of those disasters that we can prevent the impacts from largely. And we've done it with our building codes, and we can do it with home hardening steps. So don't feel defenseless with disasters. Don't let them intimidate you, because you do have power to do something about it. Oh, thank you, Marcia. So Marcia just put the Brace and Bolt program. The deadline for this year's October 1st. They have plenty of programs though, so if you don't make that deadline, just keep an eye out. But the last thing is being ready. Can you raise your hand if your phone is at least 50% charged?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, go charge it after this meeting. Cool. I see a few of you. Nice. Can you raise your hand if your car tank is at least halfway full? If it's not, go get some gas and charge your phones after this. You want to have a heightened state of awareness. That doesn't mean you need to be paranoid. It doesn't mean you need to be constantly like in an anxious state. What it means is you should be ready to go, and it's not hard to be ready to go. Don't let your car go on empty. It's bad for the engine, but it's also bad for evacuations. Keep your phone charged. That way you can use it more and it won't die on you. Be aware of your surroundings. When you enter a room, know how to exit that room. Know your neighbors. Have their contact information. At least two of them. Look to your right, look to your left. If you don't like the person to your right, look to your front or your back. Get a couple people's contact information so that they can check on your home. After disasters, they're gonna be the people who you rely on most, whether you like it or not. So make them your friends and rely on each other and lean on each other. And know your rights. Know what resources are available to you. You cannot be excluded from disaster recovery resources like shelter, food, transportation, whatever is provided by your local jurisdiction during an emergency based on your age, sexuality, citizenship, ethnicity, religion, or any other of those factors. You cannot be discriminated against. You have rights. You might not have rights to every single program made available, but you have rights to those basic lifelines and emergency facilities and services. So just being aware, being in this training helps you be aware, makes you think about all of this too. And yes, Ron, trust your senses. If you feel something doesn't feel safe, don't be there. Whatever that situation might be, trust your senses, be alert, try not to go too much into a bubble all the time, and just know what your surroundings are. Again, doesn't mean you have to be anxious. It just means you have to be aware. I know that, again, there are a lot of resources available. The jurisdictions, the nonprofits, all of the first responder agencies do work to try and provide some support. That doesn't mean that they're going to provide everything. There is a responsibility of all of us to protect ourselves and do what we can to stay safe, but there will be resources after emergency. And utilizing those trusted information resources is one of the best ways to find and get access to that, along with our support networks. Shameless plug. Um, if you would like more information, our website is cadresv.org. The preparedness /preparedness, or that quick preparedness you see on that top toolbar. You can get information there. We have our email, cadre.secco@gmail.com. We also have, like mine is luna@cadre, sv.org. Oops. Sorry. That one was on a timer, so it moves forward without my clicking. That's our phone number. Our duty officer number is online, so is all of our information. Um, and that's our QR code if you want to scan it. So, like we said earlier, we will have the recording for this and all of our trainings on there. We are happy to work with any and all of you to help prepare your staff, to prepare your family, to prepare yourself. We are here to help you. So, do not hesitate to reach out. And before I go to questions and pause, and we can talk as you guys please, please, when you hang up this call, when you end this call, complete the exit survey. It's really important for us to gather that training feedback. It helps us ensure funding in the future, and it also helps us modify these trainings to be most useful for you. So if there's something that helped you, let us know. And if you're like, no, this wasn't helpful, this would have been helpful, let us know that too, because we can tailor this to meet your needs. But please, please, when you don't exit the survey when it pops up after this. Do you have presentations at the we can. We can definitely set up presentations with you. Just reach out. As our capacity allows, we are happy to help with any training, guidance and support that we can. Oh, awesome. Okay, well, tell your son that I am proud of him. And just continue to do what you can to stay ready. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you have comments, questions, points of discussion, feel free to speak now.
I'll speak real quick on the presentations. We will do presentations, but we would rather teach you how to do the presentation. The out of the box earthquake safety presentation is you could read the script and show the PowerPoint and give a great presentation. So we're happy to mentor you, and do it a couple times, but then we would like you to spread the word so that we can get the message out farther. Anyone else? What have you done to prepare?
I just wanted to say thank you all. This was a really awesome and very thorough and in-depth preparedness course. And I really liked the way that you break down the emergency kit instead of just a list of like, here's a category and why. I think that's really helpful just to get people thinking on their own about what they
Yeah. And even in the Dollar Tree list, it suggests a shower curtain.
Right.
And it's like, why would I need a shower curtain? And then I make people talk about it. It's like, what could you use a shower curtain for? Because I want you to be creative and think about what you're doing. And so, well, it could be if the ground's wet, if it's raining, if I need shade, if I need privacy. And then they're like, oh, so it's really motivating the public to not think that emergency preparedness is a specialty.
Yeah,
It's common sense, and we want to share the common sense.
definitely.
David Burkhart, I created the Dollar Tree list. Cole Cameron has distributed it widely in Santa Clara County.
Now, one question for all of you. based on this presentation, is there anything you're gonna do that was prompted by the presentation to help get a little more ready? And if so, please share it. I would love to hear it.
I have three things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure all of my fire extinguishers are the right type. Um, I'm pretty sure that my water heater is on the floor and I live in California, so I'm gonna check that out. Um, and I guess just go and revisit my emergency kit. So
You know, it's really fun if you've had an emergency kit for a long time and it has a change of clothes in it. It's really fun to put them on. I would love for somebody to just make that be a game. It's like today we are all going to take pictures of yourselves wearing the clothes that you have because they may not fit. I mean, I have some, they're like, whoa, this is way out of date. But you know, they're still clothes, but it's kind of fun to realize how long you've actually had those things in your kit.
I think
Missy in the oh yeah, good.
oh, I was just gonna say what resonated the most with me, Luna, and I try to live this is when you said that the things in your kit aren't just there for the emergency. It's okay to use them. And I found a few years back, I started to allow myself to do that. And it's kind of, you can be the cool person, like, I have this, I have that. And then anything that you use, just replenish it. I was at Disneyland once and it was raining and I had a bunch of those little tiny portable ponchos and I pulled them out and I was the star of my friends. So thanks for reminding everybody that.
Awesome. Yeah, I eat my snacks from my go bag very often. I need to be better at replacing them, but I get the stuff I like, which causes me to snack a little more, which I'm okay with because it makes me happy. But I'm awesome. That's awesome to hear. I do see a couple in the chat. Yes, please steal my slides. And anything that you can take from us that will help push readiness forward in our community, outside of our community, take it. It's yours. And then I see Ron, you're gonna physically check your go bags, stay bags, and kits to see what I've missed. Awesome. That's awesome.
And
Anyone
even
else want to share?
what may be expired, if you do an inventory of the things that expire and just stick that on the outside of your kit, because time flies by, but you can take a look at that and go, oh, the batteries may be expired, or oh, that food, I should probably eat that food, that snack, or drink the water. So that's just a faster way than having to dig through and look at each thing. And you don't have to put everything that's in the kit, just the things that have an expiration date.
I'd like to invite anyone who might be interested on coming up on January 10th, I believe. Yeah, on January 10th, at the San Jose Fire Museum on 201 North First Street, we're actually having a presentation on inspecting your, first of all, your the items that were issued in your CERT kit, but a lot of this applies to your go bag as well. So we have someone on our CERT team is going to present that, and it's going to do. He's looking at, of course, your PPE and issued helmet and that sort of things, but also, when's the last time you checked your the batteries in your flashlight or on your radio? When's the last time you turned on your radio or did a radio check-in? There's so many things. I see folks when they do bring their backpacks, we kind of do a quick inventory, and their flashlights just like messed up because the batteries have leaked, or and hardly anyone shows up with a charged radio. And it's something that you have to look at, and a lot of CERT folks benefit from having, for instance, GMRS license, because they can be used to contact your spouse across town in an emergency, right? And people don't, some people just don't understand the benefit of being able to, contact, someone up in Palo Alto from South San Jose when phones don't work. So, there's a lot of things that, you can do by inspecting your backpack, your go bags, checking them out, and then, of course, practicing that. But, put yourself on a schedule. You're going to charge batteries every 6 months. You're going to make sure those cotton shirts aren't eaten up by moths or things like that. So anyway, that's coming up on January the 2nd. It's the second Saturday at the San Jose Fire Museum at 10 o'clock in January.
Yeah, if you save or send that to me at Marcia@cadresv.org, I will put it in our newsletter,
Okay.
because that's anything that makes preparedness fun, we're all about it. And I did put
Absolutely.
in the chat, in our event calendar, I am doing a presentation for organization preparedness. So it touches on some of this, but also the planning that the organization needs to do itself to be able to keep running and all of that. So that one will be fun too.
And just a blanket to all the organizations out there, if you ever have an event or resource or information you would like amplified, that is what we do. We will connect that information and those resources to the whole community. So please do anytime share with us. We'll push it in our newsletter, on our webpage. We'll share it at our meetings and make sure that those resources, those events are amplified so that more people can benefit from them.